Hi, this is QD Clinic. I'm Jack Cushwood, Room Now. QD Clinic is a big part of PsA all the way. Today, our case is Moll Wright, right or wrong? What? I saw a older male came into clinic, long history, 20, almost 30 years of psoriasis. He says 10, 12-year history of arthritis, and now he's nothing but arthritis mutilans. You know, broken windmills for hands, just all gnarled up. Hard to tell if any synovitis could exist there. Leads me to believe maybe there's some hope, but he's been tried on a lot of therapies and most of the newer ones don't work. Made me think about the Moll Wright classification system, which used to say that there are 5 types of psoriatic arthritis. Let's go through them. Polyarthritis, oligoarthritis being the biggest group. The next group is what? The patients who have axial psoriatic arthritis, used to call that spondylitis or psoriatic spondylitis. DIP disease, and then arthritis mutilans. Well, if you look at drug development in the last, 10 years, it's largely been for psoriatic polyarthritis. While the criteria for entry did allow patients with up to 3 joints or more to get into the studies, usually they all had polyarthritis going in. And so the case is not as strong, I think, to be for treating oligoarthritis, which is the biggest group, as you know, with psoriatic arthritis. But we do know that those patients are easier to treat than are the psoriatics who have polyarticular disease. A lot of polyarticular disease does involve DIPs and PIPs. So the question is, does DIP deserve its own designation? So what we've seen is that drug development has been for active psoriatic arthritis. It's usually polyarticular. It could be oligo or polyarticular, and nothing more as far as indications, right? Meaning you're not going for indications for just DIP disease only, or for patients who have arthritis mutilans only. I think you are going to see indications in the future for axial psoriatic arthritis, what we used to call psoriatic spondylitis. Number of trials now that are showing really good promise there. And really, the drug development scene for psoriatics has followed the pattern that's really been laid out by GRAPPA in its treatment guidelines. So if you look at the GRAPPA treatment guidelines, they have algorithms for whether you have peripheral arthritis or axial arthritis. Then enthesitis and dactylitis. We could well see an indication for that for some of the drugs that we have. Then skin only, that we certainly have seen that, and nail only disease. And now you're seeing in psoriasis that they're going after indications for nail disease and for scalp only disease and for genital disease, right? And then let's go after the really difficult stuff in psoriasis, and that of course would be palmoplantar pustular psoriasis. And then there's domains of IBD and uveitis in the GRAPPA guidelines. Those end up becoming the pathways to drug development and future use. None of that helps me and my patient who has arthritis mutilans. Look it up. It's really symptomatic management, DMARD management, some cases of TNF inhibitor use, largely nothing to substantiate the use of an IL-17 or an IL-23 inhibitor or a 12-23 inhibitor in this group. It pretty much is the damage is already done and there's not a lot of hope. What I don't like about that is I could have said the same thing about TNF inhibitors with the very first patient I gave a TNF inhibitor to who wasn't an RA patient. It was 1999. The man had ankylosing spondylitis. He was totally fused, stem to stern. I mean, gigantic man. And he said, hey, he was mad at me because nothing I was doing was helping him. When are you going to do something that's going to help me, Mr. Researcher? And I said, well, you're going to get on this new TNF inhibitor business, because I was looking at that animal models. It looked like it made sense, and boom. Even though he was totally fused, very limited in motion, had peripheral arthritis, his wife called me like 4 days later and said, "What did you give my husband? He's on speed. He's doing stuff he hasn't done in 20 years." So there is hope, even when there is a lot of damage. I'd like to see more development even for that horrible small subset of arthritis mutilans. I think Moll and Wright were right. I just don't think we're paying attention to it. Tune in for more QD Clinics.